On this episode of Multifamily Unpacked, we're sharing a small glimpse of a panel recorded at last year's forum called A Smarter Way to Approach Artificial Intelligence. Our panelists broke down best practices, misconceptions, and the unique needs that the multifamily industry has for its AI solutions. The panel featured Cara Athmann, COO of Cardinal Group, Emily Copeland, the SVP of Property Management with LCOR. The panel was moderated by Funnel's Ben Rubin, Chief Product Officer and President, and our CEO, Tyler Christiansen. Enjoy.
All right. I hope everyone's ready to geek out on some AI here. As I just said, our folks at Funnel love working on AI. So excited to have these phenomenal leaders on stage to help us unpack what they're doing with artificial intelligence in their portfolios. So let's do some introductions.
Cara Athmann. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for Cardinal Group Companies. We've got about 80,000 purpose-built student beds that we manage. Got about 10,000 multi-family units and about 10,000 affordable units. We've explored a couple of different tools, and we started first with the collections and the delinquency, which was a great place to start because what we found is our on-site teams don't really want to go around asking people for money. So it was really nice to be able to use the tool for that. So it was really dialed in on exactly, what's the ledger balance, what's the late date, what did the fees start, all of that. So it's able to handle that conversation in a very natural language conversation. The other great positive thing about these tools as you use them is they don't get heated, they don't escalate, right? As some of these conversations can be a little tricky. So it's a great way to have it be very trained, very objective, but very natural language. So it's a really easy communication for the resident and they can have that interaction back and forth. So we've had really great results with that. That's been very positive. Also on the leasing side, I think this is a great, experience again for the prospects where they can text at 11 o'clock at night on a Sunday night and get that response right away. And again, I think to me, what's so exciting about how technology has progressed over the last several years is it is that natural language. It's not just, the frustration of, not really getting your questions answered. I think that's what's so exciting is it can be a really high quality experience if you train these models right and provide them with the right information about the community so that they can get really far. So we started on the collections, then we went to on the sales side. So to me, it's we're just going to keep going, right? Anything that you would typically have a prospect or a resident asking or emailing or texting or phone call to the office staff, those are great candidates to just chip away at those conversations and use technology to have high quality, consistent answers, really when that resident or prospect wants to interact with your team, which I think is really exciting.
Sure. My name is Emily Copeland. I'm with LCOR. We are about 7,000 units, and we do multifamily ground-up delivery and management. Well, we did utilize a lease for a period of time, and then when we made the transition over to Funnel, we transitioned to Funnel. We have Brianna, who is our virtual leasing assistant. She answers about 30,000 contacts per year for us. And when we started doing that, we realized how much we were missing. So she's really been an additional person on our workforce, and many people actually believe that she is a person on our workforce. They come in and they believe they have a tour with Brianna, and so we have to introduce them to their new leasing agent when they get there. But that's kind of where we kicked off our journey, and since we've also just recently begun piloting voice VLA, I think we're looking for the opportunities of the properties it's going to be the most beneficial at. And so we do have a couple of properties where we weren't quite ready to go to a voice VLA, but when you're looking at a huge volume of phone calls coming into a community still, which is not something we see at all of our properties, but some we do, it just makes sense to give another option. People may not select it, but they are taking the opportunity to say, well, I had an opportunity to talk to another agent, or I am going to wait to speak with a person. So I think it's just the ability to give more options and opportunities for touch points for people when they're in the moment and they're looking to speak with somebody immediately. The same goes with the nighttime chats. We still see a lot of the emails that are coming in getting responded to by Brianna. And so, I think it's realizing that while your doors are open, you're actually missing out on a huge volume of people as well. So just any opportunity we can to add to our toolbox, I think is where we're looking to find new opportunities with AI.
So at LCOR in particular, how do you guys think about the handoff, right? Where the lines stop from, and we showed the stats earlier that there naturally are going to be a lot of scenarios where it doesn't convert all the way to the tour, right? Mm-hmm. Whether that's because they weren't a qualified lead or because they had a question that we don't have a data field to pull from. So how at LCOR, when you've had fantastic stats.
Mhm.
Is that a training emphasis? Is it a change management? Talk to us about that.
Yeah, I think it was really focusing on wait for the handoff, because the natural inclination is you're working the queue, you see that there's a lead in there, it's active, you want to grab it, you want to make that sale, but waiting for the handoff. And by working with the team to make sure they're waiting until the moment where the question is that Brianna can't answer, or it becomes a tour, and then they can capitalize on the tour, but they've been able to spend their time with the people that are coming into the office, or making phone calls to the property, or working with the residents. Has really been key.
Emily, you guys have an amazing stat with LCOR that we can bring back up on the screen. I want you to maybe unpack a little bit for us. 62% increase in tours year over year. What do you attribute this to? What were you all doing to ensure that? Was there an impact into the bottom line?
I mean, absolutely. If you're bringing in more tours to the property, you have more opportunities to improve the quality and the qualified traffic that you're bringing in. And so, honestly, we were bringing in the traffic just by having Brianna additionally adding more tours to our plate. People spending less time responding to emails, more time focused on the renter that's standing in front of them, giving quality customer service, and creating that rapport with people who were coming in the door. When they have a good experience, you can't replace that. And so no matter how many times you email with them or you talk to them on the phone, it's that first impression when they walk in your door, whether or not you're going to be able to capitalize on that. And then I think additionally, it just frees up the bandwidth of the on-site team to be able to spend more time with those people.
And Cara, I think unique to your portfolio, you do have various asset classes, right? You do a lot of student, right? But you have conventional. Do you have to then think through the strategic importance of different types of AI by portfolio class?
To some degree, yes. I mean, certainly in student housing, kind of like a lease up every year, right? So there's certainly a heavier focus on the sales side there than your typical stabilized conventional property. So to some degree, yes, there certainly is. Overall, again, it's the consistency. And the key here is, right, that it is a trained model and that you do have some constraints on how it's responding to certain things. Obviously, that's super important. And for us, we're a fee manager. We own maybe about 20% of our portfolio and then fee manage the rest. So we don't have full control over everything that we're rolling out. And so we have different options. If we're just going right from the technology and then we're introducing kind of a new process for the on-site teams, it's like, yes, we are training them, but it's still hard, right? It's something new no matter what. We throw so much at the on-site teams and there's so much coming at them all the time that it's hard for them to just, really pick up these new business processes. So that for us has been kind of the secret sauce of, okay, if you can really get the technology and the centralized services, you're really reducing the burden on the on-site team.
I could not agree more. I mean, I mentioned that we think that the new frontier in this new operating model is there's a lot of asset managers that are demanding it of their third party. And the stats are, there's a lot of reasons why the asset managers are apprehensive to have shared leasing. But the stats are undeniable. When you pair AI with centralization, who doesn't want 100% responsiveness, right? And that is attainable. It's not attainable in today's model. Too many leads, too few people on site. But when you pair AI and centralization, you can live in a world where you're not wasting a lead, right?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting too, because I think a lot of times ownership groups, what they're worried about when they say, I want a dedicated person, I don't want to share, what they're worried about is you're not really going to staff to what they need. And they're worried that the people answering the call aren't going to know that community and be able to answer to it. So I feel like sometimes what they're asking for is a little bit not misleading, but it's like they're jumping to the solution to get to what they want, where it's like, okay, this to me is, again, another exciting part, not just about like AI, but as far as the CRMs, like that information is right at the fingertips of the person answering the phone.
Right.
So very different to be able to say, off the cuff, yes, it does have a pool and the hours are whatever. Everybody's mapping back to what the experience was 15 years ago when people started with the contact centers and they didn't have that information. It was a bad experience, right?
Yeah.
So I think to me, some of it's about what are they really asking for? What are they worried about? And if you can address that, you're not going to get everybody. Some people are, very change resistant or just slower to adopt new things. But I think when we stay really focused on, well, what are they solving for and how do we show them that we can solve for that with a different model? That's where we've had success.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, there was not that long ago, there was a lot of articles being written that CRMs would be irrelevant in a world with AI. In a world where there's less need for human workflows, it is much more about the CRM is the repository of customer information, right? We know more about you. It's not just where I go to log the things that I did. And certainly a goal at Funnel is to constantly remove the number of things that an agent has to do themselves, right? that's the whole idea with MyQ is it's simplifying and guiding their work, but it's not about going in and typing in a report for every call that you did.